Hey toy fans, D21 Beast Rob here, back with another Minimate review for you guys here today. And today we're taking a look at the Giant-Sized X-Men wave of Minimates released by Diamond Select in 2016. This is a wave of Minimate figures that I've been super excited for since it was announced, and frankly, considering we just got a whole wave of X-Men Minimates last year, I'm really surprised to see that we've already got a brand new wave of X-Men Minimates coming at us this year. The Minimates in this wave are actually based off a specific issue of X-Men, Giant-Sized X-Men No.1, which debuted all the way back in 1975, and that pivotal issue of the X-Men actually served as sort of a reboot for the characters. The original 5 X-Men that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby had created in the 1960s had grown up a bit, added Polaris and Havoc, but ultimately became a cancelled book. And there were several years where we didn't have an ongoing X-Men title, if you're not counting the reprint years. But one fateful day in the mid-1970s, the Marvel brass knew they wanted to bring back their Children of the Atom in a major way. Enter comic book writing legend Len Wein and superstar artist Dave Cockrum, and Giant-Sized X-Men was born. Giant-Sized X-Men was actually a different version of the X-Men than what we had seen before. The original 5 X-Men were all your standard Anglo-Saxon American heroes. Cyclops, Jean, Beast, Iceman, and Angel all had a certain cultural sameness to them. With the release of Giant-Sized X-Men, Marvel was looking to create a team of mutant superheroes that actually spanned the entire globe. So brand new heroes were born. We got Storm from Africa, Colossus from Russia, Nightcrawler from Germany, Thunderbird from the American Southwest. And then we had the return of some familiar faces. One-time villain, now ally of the X-Men Sunfire, was brought in, hailing from the country of Japan. The reformed Factor 3 villain Banshee from Ireland was added to the roster. And relative comic book newcomer, the Wolverine, was also added to the lineup, having recently appeared in the pages of Incredible Hulk. Yes, this was an all-new team of international heroes that would be led by Cyclops, the original leader of the X-Men. With the release of Giant-Sized X-Men No.1, the X-Men actually came back in a bi-monthly series, written by comic book legend Chris Claremont, and the X-Men would become a mega-hit sensation throughout the 70s and into the 80s and beyond. And it was that relaunch of the X-Men that gave us classic stories like Days of Future Past, the Dark Phoenix Saga, God Loves Man Kills, and much, much more. So with this wave of X-Men Minimates, Diamond Select is actually sending a bit of a love letter to the fans of Marvel's Merry Mutants, celebrating quite possibly one of the most important issues in the history of the X-Men franchise. But believe it or not, this isn't the first time we've received Giant-Sized X-Men Minimate figures. Back in 2004, a box set was released that included characters like Wolverine, Thunderbird, Storm, Nightcrawler, Colossus, and Cyclops. And while that box set was great in its day, it unfortunately omitted characters like Sunfire and Banshee that we wouldn't get for several more years. In Banshee's case, we didn't even get them till just last year in 2015. Now Diamond Select is giving Giant-Sized X-Men in Minimate form one more go, and we finally have a complete lineup of all the heroes that debuted in that landmark issue. Now that I've given you your X-Men history lesson for the day, it should go without saying that this wave of Minimate figures is a bit sentimental for me, as Giant-Sized No.1 is one of my favorite X-Men issues of all time, and I cannot wait to get these minifigures out of their packaging. But before we jump ahead, let's take one final closer look at what we're going to be reviewing today. This wave of 8 Minimate figures has been broken up into 4 separate 2-packs. The packaging for these figures does feature that classic Giant-Sized X-Men logo in the upper left. Each Minimate 2-pack has been paired off in the following order. We've got Wolverine and Thunderbird, Storm and Sunfire, Cyclops and Banshee, and Colossus and Nightcrawler. The back of the packaging does feature a complete lineup of all the figures available in this wave. Then towards the bottom we do have a bio for each figure that we'll be looking at today, including Wolverine, Thunderbird, Storm, Sunfire, Cyclops, Banshee, Colossus, and Nightcrawler. Alright toy fans, well that's your history and that's your packaging. Let's say we get these mini heroes out of the box and see what they're all about. Alright toy fans, here we have the Giant-Sized X-Men Minimate figures out of the packaging. And overall I'm pretty positive on a lot of aspects about these minifigures. I've got a couple of minor complaints that we'll address figure by figure. Let's start things off by taking a look at Thunderbird. And here we have John Proudstar, Thunderbird, probably the X-Men character from this wave of Minimate figures that a lot of you don't recognize. And that's because he only lasted 2 issues post Giant-Sized X-Men No.1 in the comic books. But while his stay with the team may have been brief, he left a lasting enough impression in a lot of X fans' minds that they eventually brought the character back, Well, sort of. Sometime in the mid-90s, they decided to bring the character back, only this time it was his brother, James Proudstar, and he took on the name Warpath, not Thunderbird, although the powers between these two guys were nearly identical. This is the second time that we've received Thunderbird in Minimate form, and I think Diamond Select has done a great job of replicating the look of Dave Cockrum's art. We get nice muscle shading on the legs and on the torso, even on the back of the Minimate figure, and the colors are really sharp and really clean. Even his eyes have been whited out very nicely, and the face detail looks just like it did on the comic book page. Thunderbird has one of my favorite X-Men costume designs of all time, and now that I have this X-Man in Minimate figure form, I can't wait to cherish him for many years to come as part of my collection. Oh my. Haha, who didn't see that coming? Let's take a closer look at the rest of these heroes. Like we saw with the Thunderbird Minimate figure, all of these X-Men figures have wonderfully recreated the art style of artist Dave Cockrum. You can tell when you look at the cheekbones and the printed muscle detail on all of these minifigures. By and large, the paintwork is very nice on these X-Men, but characters like Banshee and Cyclops really could have benefited from some extra coats of yellow paint where their costume detail required it. Every one of these Minimate figures does come with the standard clear plastic display base. Flying characters such as Storm, Banshee, and Sunfire also receive flight stands that help illustrate the use of their powers. In the case of our favorite fuzzy elf, Nightcrawler actually gets a Banff cloud. With the exception of Thunderbird, every Minimate in these 2-packs also receives additional character accessories that allow you to swap out the look of your minifigure. All sorts of details can be changed out, so if you don't want your character wearing their mask, slap on a hairpiece. Don't like the way Storm or Banshee's capes look? Switch them out to your desire. And a bit of a side note, the accessories from this giant-sized Banshee are compatible with the one that we just received last year. And better yet, his cape accessories are even compatible with the Siren we received just this year. So if you've got all three, you now have a lot of great options for posing the Cassidy family. And in one of those they didn't have to do that, but I'm so glad they did maneuvers, Diamond Select has even given us some interchangeable heads. So Storm doesn't always have to have white eyes, Banshee doesn't always have to be screaming, and Nightcrawler can kick back and have a good time. Although unfortunately, my Nightcrawler's happy face seems to have been ruined by the tape that was holding it in its package. Rest assured though, Diamond Select's pretty good with customer service, so I'm not worried about getting a replacement. Well, now that we've seen all these Minimates up close, let's compare each hero to some of their previous Minimate incarnations. Alright Toy fans, well that's my review of the Giant-Sized X-Men wave of Minimate figures released by Diamond Select in 2016. Overall, a few paint blemishes aside, this is a wonderfully crafted set of Minimate figures from an amazingly significant issue of the X-Men from years ago. I've gotta say, if you're a fan of the X-Men or a fan of Minimates, this is a wave of figures that you really shouldn't skip out on. And if you're new to Minimates, this is a fantastic wave to get started with. Definitely check it out. Well, thanks for watching this review, Toy fans. I hope you enjoyed it. If you appreciated my look back at the history of Giant-Sized X-Men No.1, please give this video a big thumbs up, and do me the extra special favor of sharing this video with any X-Men fan you know who may not be in the know. In the meantime, you guys can always keep up with me on Twitter and Instagram at D21Beast, and I'll see you guys next time.